And there it is. Can't argue when that song comes on, and that little piece of music right there, blood starts flowing. I'm like, I got to be important now. Hey, gang. Welcome for yet another tour through the mad mob of merriment, myth, mirth. Wow, kind of alliteration I can work up with. This is Chris talking to you from the studios of WFC3. As always with me, Billy, Tanya, Brian, Jason Hilton. But we have a new friend in the studio today in the likes of, what would we call you? Local wrestling personality.
Sure. Local personality works. Wrestling personality.
There we go. Colin Delaney.
Former WWE superstar.
There we go. Former WWE. I was not sure which honorific you wanted to lean on the most.
Any of them. All of them.
That's great. That's great. And Colin's going to help us put a little spin on our the wrestling part of the 2017 convention that we're going to be working on this year. In a matter of months, it's going to be springing itself up on the hallowed halls of the Rochester Riverside Convention Center, May 20th and 21st of 2017. So today is basically we're going to just focus on that show, really. This is the reason we came up with the podcast in the first place, and we've had a lot of fun talking about a lot of different geek issues and nerd stuff and movies and comic books and TV series and things like that and things we want to see and role-playing games and all sorts of fun stuff. But today we're going to start narrowing the focus on the reason that brought us all together in the first place, and that is the Flower City Comic-Con in its second year, heading for its second show. And Brian, tell us a little bit more about what you see coming together.
Oh, God, we got, based on last year, we had a bunch of feedback about vendors and artists, and we really care about the art form here at the convention. I mean, promoting the art, the comic art, and
right.
That's one of the main things we want to do, because if you're going to have a Comic-Con, that's got to be one of the basics of it. Is the
artwork.
So really focused on getting some more comic book vendors, and we've got between 4 and 6, got a couple commitments that haven't quite committed yet. But,
okay. Now, we had 3 last year.
We have 4 nailed down right now. And I'm looking at 2 more potentially.
And that's great because, a lot of the local conventions that have occurred in the Rochester area, that's usually right around 3 or 4, but so we're going to try and push that number to 5, 6 in that neck of the woods.
And then on top of the 4 to 6 major comic artists that we're going to have, inkers, illustrators, pencilers, your Larry Hamas, your Joe Juskos that we've announced.
Right.
We have over 30 local artists that are going to be there as well.
How many?
Over 30.
Over 30 local artists are going to be on the floor.
Yes.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
With ranging in abilities, but definitely we're going to have over 30 of them.
That's amazing. That is outstanding. And is there anybody in particular we can point out to, or anybody we can throw a shout-out in the direction of?
Well, let's give Ken Wheaton a shout-out, because he's done a lot for us.
Ken's awesome.
And he's done a lot of things, and if nothing else, come to the convention to see Ken's artwork on our program cover, because it's amazing.
That indeed, I've seen some of the drafts of that, and it's really impressive. Now, Ken Wheaton, you can basically Google him and see what kind of credentials he brings to the table already.
Oh, yeah, he's done all sorts of comic work. What he's known, one of the things he's known most for is the work he did on Simpsons comics.
Okay, very cool.
Oh, nice. And one hell of a Doctor Who.
Trivia guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. He showed up at Doctor Who Trivia Night and just owned it. He owned the whole room that day.
Do you think he'll
came in
show
second place, but only lost by default, right?
Yeah.
I think it was.
Technicality.
Closest to the whole kind of thing.
It was a technicality.
I believe he'll be there for our Star Wars
night.
Our Star Wars night coming up on March 18th.
Well, and then is he going to be a team of himself?
Team of one?
A team of one? Because they can have up to a team of 4.
One-man trivia army. It's all right, so Tanya.
None of us can participate, right?
None of us can participate. Well, I can't participate since I'm actually hosting the actual event. Tanya, tell us a little bit more about VIP Row. Who's going to be on VIP Row this year? Last year we had a couple of the original Power Rangers. We had Walter Jones and Karen Taylor. Tyler?
Karen
Ashley.
Where did this Karen Tyler come from?
I don't know. I haven't had enough coffee this morning. Deal with me.
No foo-foo drink?
Yeah, I'm shush. Shush.
I told you I was snarky today.
Yes, I heard.
Yes.
So we had a couple original Power Rangers. We had Jim
did.
Cummings. We had Gigi Edgley in the first show. But now we're moving on to the 2017 show. Tell me who we got on VIP row so far.
So far, we have the Sixth Doctor, Colin Baker.
Which, Brian and I are completely giggling over.
Right. I haven't seen his series yet, so I'm going to have to borrow something to start watching that.
Okay.
Also, we have Trina Nishimura,
who
is
actress.
the voice actress of Mikasa on Attack on Titan, which I have to watch that one too. I got to do a lot of watching. I can't get past the English subtitles.
We've got a lot of
Netflix,
homework to do in the next couple of weeks.
So
got to make sure we know our stuff.
Tom Kane, another voice actor.
Oh, and he's phenomenal. He's done a ton of stuff. He does a lot of work for Star Wars, like Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Star Wars: The Old Republic, the
Was
MMO.
he on the video games?
He was in the video games, but also on
Powerpuff Girls.
Powerpuff Girls, and just a ton of other of those Cartoon Network and Disney Channel type cartoons that you'd see. A lot of animated stuff.
Yes. One that we just announced this week, Bruce Boxleitner.
From Babylon 5, Scarecrow, Mrs. King.
Tron,
right. So I'm like, that's like one of the names I knew. Married to Melissa Gilbert formerly.
Right.
So, which I think she was on Babylon 5 for a little bit.
She did have a reoccurring role for a couple of seasons. I remember that vaguely.
Vaguely.
I know Wayne will probably be able to expound on that a little bit more next time I see him.
And also recently, Davros Terry Malloy from
Terry Malloy.
Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah, from Doctor Who.
I have to go back and watch this again.
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who?
Is that the Asian version?
Listen, I'm tired.
And what's great is he was Davros across from Colin, so it's really a great tie-in.
So the two of them are going to see each other for like the first time in a while again.
And
I assume.
that's courtesy of Wibbly Wobbly Timey Wimey.
Yes,
.com.
that's Heather's group, right?
Yes.
They have stepped up huge for us in recent months. They've been a lot of fun to work with. All right, so we have the Sixth Doctor.
We've got a couple other on the horizon, but we can't.
We have the Sixth Doctor and Davros from basically the same series. We have Commander Sheridan from Babylon 5. We've got Mikasa, and we've got Yoda. So those are the big character names that we can come up with at this point. All right, with Tim Kaine, Trina Nishimura, Tom Kane.
And Karen Taylor.
No, that was last year. It was Karen Ashley. Wow.
I'm beginning to wonder if maybe I should just say cut and start over again at this point. But I'll keep soldiering on. I'm going to keep soldiering on because, I'm not perfect.
We're going to see how many more name faux pas we can do.
Let's find out how Chris can do on podcast recording on 3 hours of sleep. Yay! All right. All right, so we have the VIP row. We have a touchdown vendor. Go ahead.
And
here it comes.
There's
more?
There is more.
There's more?
There is always more.
Oh, my God.
Now, this one's definitely not my area of expertise. So it's definitely more Brian, Jason, and Colin's area of expertise.
I think I know who you're talking about now.
Yes.
And me. I'm looking forward
and
to
Billy.
this one. Yeah.
I'm looking this way, totally forgetting that Billy's behind me.
How can you forget
I
Billy?
don't know. I can never forget Billy. I'm so sorry.
Very easily forgettable.
No.
Unforgettable. No.
Oh, God.
I got
to flag that one.
We are
Billy,
not
flag that
singing
one
on this podcast.
Flag that one. I got to keep that one for future reference.
At 8 minutes in the recording, 8 minutes in.
I start singing.
Tanya has started singing and recording. Okay.
Okay.
But who do we got?
We have Jerry the King Lawler.
Jerry the King.
And I'll have to defer to everyone else.
It's good to be the king.
Sunday only, unfortunately, but yes, he will be there.
Tell us a little bit more about that. Have you met him before, Colin?
Oh, I've met Jerry Lawler a ton of times.
Okay.
When I was in WWE, he was there. He's like the perfect wrestling Comic-Con type guest because he does artwork for comics also.
No, does he really?
Yeah, he does.
I don't think I knew that. That is awesome.
Yeah, no, Jerry Lawler's a huge artist.
That is awesome.
Amazing artwork.
So that's like a bonus.
I heard he'll sit there and he'll just draw while he's sitting at the table and talking to people. So
that's fantastic.
Cool.
It's crazy.
That is fantastic.
He's a huge superhero geek.
Okay.
I heard he collects Superman stuff.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Do we have anybody else that we can probably hook him up with then? Do we have a...
Wayne?
Wayne can bring his phone.
I don't know. He might not get it.
He might not get it back, though.
Yeah,
All right, that's cool. So, we're touching on... so we're touching on sci-fi TV. We're touching on anime. We're touching on video games. Now we're also touching on comic book artist and wrestling legend. Is he a Hall of Famer, I'm assuming? Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer.
He is. And one thing, even maybe more than his wrestling and his commentating on WWE,
he got famous in the 80s with his feud with Andy Kaufman.
The comedian Andy. Oh, I was going to say, I thought that there was a ring there in the back of my head. How did that all play out, Billy?
Well, Andy Kaufman was a huge wrestling fan, and so he started a thing where at the time, Jerry Lawler was the champion in Memphis, like Memphis wrestling.
Okay.
And so Andy Kaufman started mocking Memphis wrestling fans. I'm from Hollywood. I know I'm way better than you folks.
Oh, jeez.
And he just
in that
started.
way that Kaufman
Didn't he call himself the transgender champion of the world?
Yes, because he used to wrestle women. And so it turned into a whole feud between Jerry Lawler sticking up for Memphis and his wrestling and Andy Kaufman being the arrogant actor from Hollywood, making fun of the Southern hicks. I'm from Hollywood. No, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, and he'd do this hillbilly voice.
Okay.
And it wound up with Jerry Lawler and Andy Kaufman wrestling in Mid-South Coliseum.
Oh, no.
Where Andy Kaufman wound up with a quote-unquote broken neck.
Okay.
From not just one,
but two pile drivers.
Oh, God.
Ow.
And so Andy Kaufman milked the neck brace and the broken neck forever. They wound up on Letterman, where you would have swore it was real.
Okay.
Because they started trash talking each other, and Letterman had no idea what to do.
Oh,
and they
jeez.
started shoving each other, and Letterman went to commercial, and there's a really good documentary called I'm From Hollywood, and it documents the whole Andy Kaufman, Jerry Lawler feud.
Okay.
And it's funny and it's interesting, and little behind the scene look at wrestling in the 80s.
All right. So we have a very colorful character coming, and then we have a character who wore a colorful costume coming. So we have a professional wrestler and the Sixth Doctor.
Very colorful costume.
Brian and I, being the diehard Who fans that we've been for so long, there's 13 men who have played the part. 3 of them now have unfortunately passed on at this stage with the recent passing of John Hurt. But we're hoping to meet as many of them as we possibly can. And wouldn't you know that the first one we're bringing to the Flower City Comic Con is one that we've already met before. So that's just our luck with Colin Baker. But that's awesome. I mean, it's great to see him again. It's been 30 years since he's been in Rochester, New York.
I think
because it was the Creation Convention back in the day. So it's the same building. He's going to be back in the convention center, and but it's 30 years later. So hopefully we can show him some fun, show him what the city's all about. And now we've got VIP. We've talked about the guests. We talked a little bit about the link there. We've talked a little bit about vendor. We've talked about artists. What else are we going to talk about? We're going to talk a little bit about panels, which is something I'm familiar with as I've been handling the generation of the schedule. So we're going to make sure that that you have plenty of things to do, dear listener, when you come to the convention. You can walk the floor. You can meet the guests. You can have commissioned artwork done for you. But then there's also the panels where you get to sit down with people who are like-minded and have some time to talk about your favorite things. We're going to make sure there's a Star Wars panel. There's going to be a Star Trek panel. There's going to be a Supernatural panel so that you can join your fellow fans in discussing all that great stuff. Sam Dean. Yeah, okay. Castiel.
Oh, I saw the most recent episode. I was
Crowley.
devastated. Yeah.
I've fallen behind. I have not watched any of my
Slacker?
shows. I have not watched any of my shows
Slacker?
this year so far.
Slacker.
And then we'll have the panels with our guests, with Colin Baker and Bruce Boxleitner and
Trina.
and Tom Kane. Not Tim. It's his evil twin brother is Tim, right? Yeah.
Tim is the guy that we work with at the convention center.
Right. I think that's why I might have been on my oh, yes. Brian just handed me his
Karen
phone.
Taylor, yes.
Yeah, and it's Karen Taylor, comedian, apparently, Karen Taylor. That's cool.
Not to be confused with Karen Ashley, the Yellow Power Ranger.
The Yellow Power Rangers.
Yes.
Okay. So, okay. All right, where was I? I'm derailed at the moment.
Supernatural panel.
And we're going to have a variety
Colin and Terry.
Yeah,
and Tom,
we're going to have a variety of talks. And then when we have an opportunity to do so, we'll bring in Rico Witzel, who is our cosplay coordinator, cosplay guru.
Was she? What was it? She was the ambassador to the Cosplay Nation.
That's it, ambassador to the cosplay. I knew we'd come up with something good, and she's going to be able to discuss our the relationship that we're going to have on the whole new cosplay piece for Flower City Comic Con.
I heard there's like this little.
So what cosplay events do we have in place so
We've
far,
got
Chris?
2 major events in place already. There's the costume contest, which will be on Saturday. Oh, excuse me, 3. There's the cosplay contest, which will be on Saturday. There will be, at the end of the day on Saturday, the cosplay dating game. And then at the end of Sunday will be the cosplay lip sync battle. Those are the 3 major ones that we have so far. We're also working on
a fourth.
There's a fourth?
Oh, yeah, there is a fourth.
Tell me what the fourth is.
Jason has to tell you the fourth one.
Tell me what the fourth one is.
We're doing a cosplay wrestle show.
No. We
Yeah.
are?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is awesome. Did I account for that in the panel schedule yet?
Well, that's the wrestling.
Okay,
that
so
we're
it's gonna be the wrestling
so
aspect. So
We
tell
are
me more.
going to have a wrestling show on Sunday, and we'll get into more depth in future podcasts
Cool.
on that. And I am super pumped. We are bringing in Leva Bates, who was Blue Pants on WWE's NXT.
Oh, cool.
And she's a huge cosplayer. And you can check her out. And then the rest of the boys are going to be doing little cosplay things along the way. So we'll let you. We'll get more into that later, but
And we're going to be talking about that in next week's podcast a little bit more, the relationship that FC3 has built with the local wrestling community. Correct. I'm going to give you and Colin an opportunity to tell us everything that's been going on because there's a lot. There's not enough for just a single kind of a mention in this one little podcast today. I want to give you guys some fair play on that.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So Leva Bates.
Leva Bates.
Leva Bates.
Leva Bates, Bates.
Okay. And
Look it up, though. She does all kinds of crazy cosplay on the wrestling shows that she does right now.
Okay,
yeah.
so
she'll
go to the
really.
ring dressed in costumes and whatnot.
Yeah,
I'm assuming. That's awesome. So I can't wait to meet her. That'll be cool. All right, so we have
Oh, it looks like a Cyclops or a Wolverine or something.
we have a costume contest. We have the cosplay dating game. We have the cosplay lip sync battle. We have the cosplay wrestling feature, and then there are going to be a variety of opportunities for photo shoots and for meetups for fans to get together and do their group costumes and whatnot. So, and it's going to be all throughout the convention center. So there's going to be lots of opportunities to kick back and have some fun with the cosplay crew for a change of pace. That's going to be great. So we got all of that. What have we not covered so far in this particular?
We do have a gaming room for
Yes,
board
that's-
gaming and things of that
Okay,
nature.
so we are going to be doing that again. Good.
And
And
that's through Jason Go.
Yeah, I don't have the name of his.
I think it's Casual Dragon Games.
Yes,
Casual Dragon Games,
yes.
okay.
I'm going to be shooting craps in the corner. Anybody wants to join me? Little 4, 5, 6.
roll it.
Dungeons and Dragons.
So there's going to be some D&D, some card gaming, some like Magic, and
we have the Starship Horizons Bridge coming
Starship
back.
Horizon Bridge Simulators coming back.
that's
This
That's
time
gonna be
I want to play.
That people is part of your admission, so there's no extra cost for that.
fun. Yeah.
And we do have a couple of groups bringing in all sorts of props that you can get pictures taken with. There's a fee for some of those, and
Yeah.
and there's not for others. So keep that in mind. That's out of our control. That's up to the people that are bringing the props.
Right.
From what I understand, we are going to have one of the Ford vehicles from Harry Potter.
From Harry Potter.
will be there along with the Goblet of Fire.
Okay.
And Platform 9 3/4 will be at
How
the
many
convention.
people are going to be running towards it really, really fast?
I
hope
wanna
that-
watch
I don't,
that.
I don't, yeah, that's going to be interesting. We're going to have to keep camera on that. We'll do like a Facebook Live,
How
throughout
many
the
they're
course of the
actually
day.
going to try to go through
And
it.
seeing as we have the Doctor and Davros, we have to have a TARDIS.
And we will. I believe that's courtesy of Experience Entertainment.
Experience Entertainment.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I believe a couple Daleks are coming.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm working on K9, so we might have a K9.
Oh,
as
that'd
well.
be fantastic.
That would be
That'd be
Master.
fantastic.
that would be awesome. Maybe Davros will be there. I mean, Mark has a Davros too.
He
so
does.
It's possible that he brings Davros
It's-
and a Dalek or a couple of Daleks.
Yeah,
So
I think we're going to see 2 Daleks. I know he's been working on one feverishly lately, so I'm hoping that's the one we're going to see.
well, we know that by the time this podcast comes out, we haven't as of today made
Mm-hmm.
the announcement on Davros, but we'll let him know, and I think that may change his mind once.
Does anybody do a good Dalek impression?
I think depending on
Like we
how
need one?
like I think we can probably all do one at one point or another.
Oh, the Exterminate.
Exterminate. There it is.
No one does a good one. Just everybody does one.
Yes. That's it.
You need that voice modulator, and it does it for you. So
Like Nicholas Briggs has got the lock on that right now. He's been doing all the Dalek stuff for Doctor Who for 10 years now since New Who came back.
another thing I'm working on with one of our vendors out of Buffalo. He runs a little con up in Buffalo. Mark Miller is doing he always brings some retro video games.
Oh right, yeah, I remember Mark.
And
yeah,
he'll pull
Mark's cool.
something so obscure that hardly anyone's ever played it, and then run a tournament on it, so that everybody, it's like their first time playing it and having a tournament. So it's really pretty cool when he does that. So that's something else I'm working on. That's got to be finalized still. But
but that's something in the ride. So we have the guests, we have the vendors, the artists, the panels, the photo shoots, the presentations, the staging area. We're going to have the Irish dancers back. We're going to have
Rock City
Roller Derby's coming back for another tour.
Did I hear LARPing this year?
There's a good nothing is solid and set in stone yet, but it looks like we're going to have live action role play demonstrations.
I'm dressing as Dean as a LARPer.
Remember that episode? He's going to do the Braveheart speech and everything.
Yes.
Is that the only speech he knows?
Yes, it's the only. It's almost like that 1941 reference, right? Or not 19 Animal House, where he goes, "Stop! Don't stop me! He's on a roll," or something like that. And then we'll have the wrestling, and we're going to have the commission artists,
the 501st and Ghostbusters, just like last year. They're both going to be back.
I wonder how it's going to be with R2D2 and one of the Daleks meeting up again.
Oh, they got along really well.
They got beef? No?
Yeah,
okay.
they had there was no beef going on. I think R2 and the Dalek, they kind of hooked up, and they went off drinking together for a little while.
I'm not surprised.
I was going to mention... I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I was just going to say that along with all that stuff, as someone that's just always looking to fill in the holes of his comic book collection, I want to see the dealer room.
Yeah.
Because you'll have stuff for purchase, and not just comics. And
so I can mention 4 shops that have definitely confirmed to be at the convention. First Print Comics, obviously, as they're one of our sponsors.
Right.
They're helping us bring in Joe Jusko, Larry Hama. We're working on a couple of other things. I'm specifically working on, I want a female artist.
Absolutely. And there's plenty of them.
There's a couple names we have out there that we're still floating around, but we'll get that. Okay. 13th Verse Comics was there last year. They'll be back again this year. Pulp Nouveau Comics could not make it. Pulp Nouveau out of Canandaigua. They could not make it last year, but they're going to be with us this year. So people who are looking for all those back issues last year that we maybe didn't have as many of, Pulp Nouveau should definitely have those. And a shop I'm not as familiar with based out of Syracuse, Larger Than Life Toys and Comics is going to be there as well.
Okay.
I mean, you anyone who's gone to Salt City Con in Syracuse has probably seen them as they run that convention.
Okay.
So I'm not as familiar with what they're going to have, but there's 4 right there. I have another that was with us last year. I'm trying to get to come back, and another local that's up in the air. I should know within a week whether they're going to be with us or not.
Beautiful. So, how many vendors do we have total right now? Give or take.
Around 40 signed up right now.
Okay.
And that doesn't include the 12 artists that are mixed into the vendor.
I mean, last year I bought a decoupage coffee table with Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack and the
I remember that.
Harvey Comics trash can. So I like the decoupage guys.
Everybody remember the ugly shirts? She's coming back. Those are pretty cool. But I also have like a guy's coming this year who does some customs. You know, your custom Funkos, your custom action figures.
Cool. Very cool.
So that's new to us this year.
Good deal.
I'm also a huge. I will be setting up, and I've got more toys and collectibles than you.
Yeah, you're gonna
shake a stick at.
One whole side. Jason's gonna have one whole side.
He's gonna have the whole wall.
One whole side of a section of the vendor area is going to be his.
We've got everything from the 90s till anything that came out last week pretty much locked down.
Very cool.
I do have some bad news for those who liked those little Lego figures last year. They were not actually Legos. They were a knockoff of Legos.
Okay.
And the gentleman that was selling them received a few cease and desists
from
Lego.
He's on vacation.
He no longer sells those as it went a little further than cease and desist letters.
Oops.
So unfortunately, I don't think we'll have those this year. I haven't seen anything like it around at any of the conventions.
The underbelly of the Comic-Con world.
Yeah. I want a complete podcast on just that issue.
On that very issue?
I want
cease and desist.
Right.
And well, you could go, a lot of times when you're talking artistic freedom and you're actually doing an artistic representation of something, you can really get away with that. I mean, that's how all of our comic book artists make their living. It's their representation of the character.
Sure.
But when you're actually selling basically the same exact figure that fits that Lego model that you have at home,
right?
That's when you're pushing the envelope a little too much. But yeah, it's definitely there's a lot of wiggle
There's definitely
room
a line
on either side of that.
Sure.
Now, Brian, it's something I wanted to talk about, and I know I've mentioned this in like one of the very first podcasts we recorded. So for you diehard listeners out there, all three of you, you can really go back into the
That's
archives.
you, me, and Brian.
Yeah, I've listened to them all. When I asked you how many vendors we have so far, and you said 40 with some room to go, what's our take on that? Because I know there's a lot of people out there who have kind of set the standard that a local convention should probably be like more along the lines of a large garage sale. And so you see,
there's
100
plenty of those out there.
You see 100, you see 150, you see like almost 200 vendors on the floor. So why? Can you help our listeners figure out why are we going in the opposite direction? Instead of more, we try to trim that down.
Well, part of it is I want our vendors to succeed. So I don't want 10 people trying to sell the exact same thing. I want everybody who comes and is a part of our show as a vendor to have success at the show.
Right.
So I don't want anyone losing. I want everybody making money that comes as a vendor at the show. When you start to have too many vendors who are selling the exact same thing, someone's going to undercut everybody else, and nobody is going to make money from that way. So from that perspective, and the other thing is with the space that we have, we don't want to be just a vendor show.
Right.
We want to have your Starship Horizons. We want to have room for the gaming area. We want to have room to have a wrestling event.
Exactly.
To have a main stage where we can have Rock City Roller Derby, Irish dancers, martial arts groups come in, that sort of thing. If you just I could pack the whole thing full of booths and make it just a vendor show.
Exactly.
But then that's all it is.
Yep.
You don't have your panels. You don't have everything else.
Right, and like I said, there's plenty of those happening. I mean, this weekend, if I can, or I think
2 weekends,
2
weeks
at Village
Yeah,
Gate.
we've got the Village Gate show, which is always a great toy and collectible show.
And there's something else by Stellar Events that I just saw that was having a comic book day type
at
thing.
one of the Eagles clubs or
Yes,
something.
yeah, on Buffalo Road. That it's just hundreds in comic books.
We may actually have a smaller version of and do one of those shows at some point in time. I've had talks with a couple of our vendors about doing that, but our main event, Flower City Comic Con, is a pop culture event. It's not just a vendor show.
Yes. And I think that's going to be our mantra for a long time to come. We want to make sure that everybody who walks in through the door is going to have a good time. That means ticket holders right down to the people who have spent money to set up a vendor booth, and even right down to the VIPs who are going to come in to sign autographs. We want to make sure that everybody's having a good time. The only person who should be completely stressed out is, Dan. And,
Well, too many times shows they focus too much on the wrong thing, and your vendors who are coming in and spending their money to sell their product, and your artists who are paying for a table to sell their product,
set up their products.
They're the ones who are helping you pay for the space to do the convention.
Exactly.
And you need to take care of them. And a lot of places just take their money, pay for the convention. They don't care one way or the other. They'll plug as many people in as they can, get as much money as they can to run the convention, and then be done with it. But if you don't keep those vendors happy, they're not going to come back.
Yeah, and
we've
found some really good vendors over the past 2 years now.
And if your vendors aren't happy, who do you think hears all the feedback on the floor? It's not us, not the people running the con.
No, it's the other people.
Those vendors are hearing what all your guests are saying as they're walking through.
Exactly.
And they can give you the best feedback out of anybody because they're getting the most honest as two people are walking by and saying that this really sucked or, oh, I really loved that. They're the ones hearing that. And if you don't treat them right, you're not going to get that feedback.
Yeah.
And that's great information to have. And I just they're a part of the show. They need to be treated as
part of the show. They're not just a tool to be used and thrown away if necessary. They're a facet that's just as important as everything else. And we hope we convey that, And if we ever fail to, I hope somebody says something about it so we can fix it. That's all.
Absolutely.
That's all it really is to it because we're happy to learn.
We're definitely accountable to everything.
We want to learn. I mean, we opened up the comment section on our Facebook. And to say, hey, rate us, and we've gotten a handful of replies, but most of them were very positive. A couple of them were not. A couple of them, and they had very good. They posed their points
reasons.
very, very valid and very polite, and we appreciate that. That's feedback that we can use. We can work on going forward. And one of them, that's I think why I'm spending so much time having Brian talking about the vendor floor, is one of them did mention that they felt that they should go in. There should just been this massive array of people to buy from, and they were disappointed that
unfortunately,
did not exist.
one of the things that sticks out in my mind from that comment was where's the anime? And last year was really tough getting those vendors. I mean, people had to realize that Toricon was the exact same weekend as a huge established anime convention.
Right.
So trying to get those vendors to come to our convention in a first year where they didn't necessarily know how we were going to do versus going to Toricon where they knew they were going to have 2,800 people coming through and seeing what they're selling, and it was specifically an anime convention. It wasn't a fair thing to ask of us, and it really wasn't something that I could do. I can't blame those vendors for doing what they thought was right for their business.
Exactly.
And I apologize that I couldn't get them, but I mean, there were circumstances outside our control.
You've made adjustments. You've
Absolutely.
made adjustments this year.
Yeah.
We've taken into consideration a bunch of stuff. We would also say anybody listening, anybody out there who knows anybody who might be interested in participating, get a hold of Brian, any one of us. I believe truly that the vendor aspect really is a pivotal point.
Right.
We've got some great guests, we've got great stuff going on, but I think vendors really, once again, like you said, they're in the thick of it. They really make or break it, and I think we've made some real honest adjustments, good adjustments to making sure that we're attracting the right kind of vendors this year.
Perfect. Yeah, and I believe that we're already starting to build the 2018 show, and we're going to even do some more increased space. I believe is what we're working on.
Yep. Yeah, we should have more space.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We're working on that. And so we've got the vendor floor, the artist alley, the VIP row, panel schedule, cosplay opportunities, activities, spaceship. I can't even think straight right now.
Look at Jason while you're
got a
trying to
Look at Jason. We're flying a space
a simulator bridge.
simulator program. Oh. And
Did you not play last year?
I don't think I got to it. No.
in the gaming area, and we're going to have a quiet room again.
Absolutely.
We're going to be doing that.
I think I'm going to need that.
Yeah, it was a great success. So if you need a breakout,
I get the green room. So
if you need to step back and you have, we had originally gotten the idea because we have this great relationship with Autism Speaks, and we understand the trials of having a family with an autistic child, and coming to a big production like FC3, and finding yourselves you've spent overwhelmed. And instead of having to pack up and go home and say, well, that was brave of us to try, but we're not going to be able to get very far into this, we did it. We had a breakout room, which called the quiet room, just with some quiet activities, some coloring books, or just sitting around. You can read a
some
couple
weighted blankets,
things like that, and you could just kind of separate yourself for a little bit, kind of decompress a little bit, and then you can dive right back in after that. So we're going to have that feature back again at FC3. We're going to have the quiet room available, Am I missing anything? I think we've.
I don't know.
Other than we'll just do it. It's going to be Saturday and Sunday, the 20th and 21st.
Professional photographer.
There's going to be professional photographer. Photo ops will be there.
And new this year is our launch party on Friday night.
Right. I was going to get to that. We do have a launch party available Friday evening.
I'm
Jason's like,
Jason's
what?
all excited.
Jason hears the word party and he's perked right up. So yeah,
I'll be there.
Yeah, Friday's
Are
going
you
to be.
dressing as Aquaman?
I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Let's see if I stay dressed. That's going to be the
hello, lady. It's not that kind of party.
This is supposed to be family friendly.
the party.
The party.
The podcast.
Oh,
Oh yeah, you, yeah.
That was him.
That was me. That was me.
That was him.
I take the podcast into a different direction every so often.
And then I had to
All
ask
right.
Billy if that was still in there.
But yeah, Friday is going to be
Yeah.
the day the vendors are going to be loading in at the convention center, getting everything set up, and that'll be winding up right around 7 o'clock in the evening. And then at 8 o'clock that Friday evening, if during the day you have come to pick up your tickets, you've gotten your lanyard, you're ready to go, and you're looking forward to the weekend, you can come back and in the Hyatt. It's in the Hyatt?
Right at the Hyatt downtown.
Right at the Hyatt downtown, connected to the convention center. You're going to be able to spend a couple of hours with some of your fellow ticket holders and staffers from the convention. We can't guarantee that a guest is going to stop by, but we've talked to them all about it, and they all are aware that it's occurring, so it's on them. They can make the choice to stop or not stop, but the launch party will happen. There will be snacks, and there will be a cash bar. And there will be music playing and a chance to you can even come in costume if you want to, or lack thereof in Jason's case. And
I'll bring down some sheets from my room.
Toga.
I'll wear my wrestling boots.
There you go. And then Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning on the 20th of May, the craziness begins as Flower City Comic Con 2017 opens up.
What are the exact hours of the convention? You at 10 o'clock on Saturday?
It's going to be 10 to 7 on Saturday and 10 to 5 on Sunday the 21st.
All the information is on our website at www.fc3roc.com. Click on tickets and info. And that's where you can even get your tickets for the launch party.
That's it. Everything. And we'll have VIP packages for special promotions for each of the particular VIPs that are out there. And we'll have more information as we get closer to the convention.
Always.
Do we settle on the food trucks? Where are we going to do?
I'm working on recruiting a couple of them as we speak, and we do believe we've gotten that squared away. So there will be food trucks on site, probably on the Main Street side of the convention center.
So right out the front door?
Yeah, so right out the front door. So you'll have concessions within the building itself, and then we'll have food trucks outside.
Yes, there's re-entry to the convention, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, we're not going to be too militant about that sort of thing.
And in fact, if you want to avoid the lines first thing in the morning, come Friday night to the party and pick up your tickets then.
There you go.
Pick up your passes then.
And as always, if you, our dear listener, have any questions whatsoever, you have many, many ways to reach out to us. You can get us through our Facebook, FC3 Rock. You can get through us through our website, www.fc3rock.com. And then we don't have a corporate hotline at the moment yet, do we? We're working on that.
I thought
like
there
1-800 number or something.
There was a phone number that I know the newspaper
We'll find that
published last year, but that ended up going to Dan. But I thought we were talking about getting.
We were talking about it. I don't think we have anything official yet. We'll work on that.
You can email each one of us, Tanya at FC3Rock.com,
Brian at
FC3 Rock,
Chris at FC3Rock.com,
Jason at FC3Rock.com,
Deanna. Although Deanna won't really
don't bug Dan. He's got enough on his plate.
Yeah.
Yes.
So come to Tanya, Brian, me, or Jason on that. So we'll get it all figured out in time. And so for now, for everybody here at the panel, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this particular one up. And this has been Monkey Business, your weekly podcast for the Flower City Comic Con crew.
Everyone's bobbing their heads.
Yep. Hey, Mighty Monkey Production. Producers of the Flower City Comic Con coming at you May 20th and 21st of 2017 at the Rochester Riverside Convention Center. Follow us on Facebook. Like us on Facebook. We beg you, please like us on Facebook. And we will see you all out there.
Begging?
I can beg. I have the eyes for it. I can do the puppy dog stuff. It doesn't work on anybody in the room, but hey.
It might work on Billy.
No.
Always works on me. You melt my heart.
Put some boots.
Yeah. See it there, Billy?
Like limpid pools of Yoo-hoo. Enough of this.
Enough of that.